Hello everyone, this is our Christmas card class, and if you have bought this class or placed an order to receive this class, I would just like to say a big thank you. It means a lot to me that so many people support my little business, and I really love crafting with you. Now, the PDF that you've received has all the instructions and sizings if you want to recreate the card. And I have just the one picture for all cards. So what I'm doing is I'm using whichever sentiment is on the card as the title for that card. Okay. Now, I'll just move that out of the way. All of the paper and the sentiments are from the September-December mini catalogue, and they're on page 15. I used the Christmas Tags and More Designer Series paper pack. That's a 6x6 pack, and the Greetings for You. Now the paper pack also comes with 4 sheets of die cuts, and I haven't used any of those. I've simply just used the Designer Series paper and cut that. Pop that one out of the way, and the only things you need are going to be adhesives, basic tools like scissors, bone folder, whatever you want to use. You don't need to do any stamping because we're using the pre-made die cuts. And everything else you need is already in each little envelope. Now, inside your envelopes is everything you need to make that one particular card. I haven't shared them out between different envelopes and everything. I always put a whole card in one envelope. One of the envelopes is clear, and that's the one for this stocking card. You can use these in the mail, and I use them all the time. I just have an adhesive label on the front for the address, my own adhesive label, and then once it's closed, it can go through Canada Post quite easily. They will take it out to hand frank, but I've noticed it doesn't take any more time than if I've mailed something in an actual envelope. So just the one is in a clear envelope, so make sure you keep this little piece. But our first card to make is the Merry Christmas tree. Let's put that there, and that's this one. So it is in this soft seafoam envelope. And I know that this video will be quite long, so feel free to just, stop whenever you need, make it in a different order, whatever you want to do. It's your video, so you do what you want with it. Now, this is a really simple front that I use a lot for different Designer Series papers. I don't always do an image like this. I'll do 3 different papers with designs on, and it's a really nice way to use up smaller pieces of Designer Series paper that you might have left over. Excuse me. And I'm going to leave the card here so that you can see what we're making. And here's our soft seafoam base. I'm just going to burnish it just so that it lays a little better later. And you can see just by looking at the finished card what it is you need to complete them. They're not too difficult, but they are repeatable templates. And I just want to add a little bit about these sentiments. They are adhesive, so if you want them to lay flat, you just peel off the sticker layer. If you want to put them on dimensionals, you can layer them by putting dimensionals just on the back in here, or you can take that sticker off and put dimensionals onto the actual sticky part as well. Okay, so we're going to start with the white base, and I have already cut the paper to the sizings that you need, and you need all of the Designer Series paper except the long piece. The long piece is to go inside the card, so pop that to one side for now. And then just play with which of the papers you want next to each other. See, that one does have a different pattern on the back. This one is, I think, just white on the back. Yeah. This one has the like the little gingham piece. Okay, so choose what you want. You might even want to have the tree in the middle, and you can certainly do that. You might want to have the tree at the right hand side, and you can do that. So whichever way you think you like the look of the pieces. I'm going to put mine that way this time. And when I've got this kind of a layout, I always start by gluing down the left piece and the right piece. And then the piece that's in the middle, it's easier just to sort of squish that into the space you've got left. And if you use a liquid glue, it means you can manipulate the paper a little bit. If you find that you haven't got it quite level or something, the liquid glue takes a moment or two to dry, so you can straighten it out. I'm leaving a same gap sort of at the edges and at the top and the bottom. Let's do this right hand side piece next. Oops, I don't need that ribbon yet. And again, I'm going to put it so that I've got the even gap on the left and right and at the bottom here, which is really the top and the bottom and the side. Okay. And then we know that that one little piece is going to fit in, and all you need to do is just make sure you've got the same distance left and right. And that makes it easier than putting two of the narrow strips down and then finding that you've got a big gap for the picture or you have no gap for the picture. So if you want to place these down first before you start to glue, you can always do that as well. Okay, so this we are just going to simply glue to the garden green backing. And these are all some of my favourite templates. I hope that they'll become your favourite templates because they're so easy. Okay, now this little gold piece, we are going to tie around and put a knot. Now I find it easier to cut a little piece off when it's a knot. I'm just checking that I've got enough for that. Yeah. So I'm just going to cut a piece off, tie a knot in it. Doesn't have to be anything fancy. I just want to have sort of a straight knot. And then this, because now it won't be long enough to tie, I'm going to put a little bit of tear and tape at each side on the back. See how high I want it, only about here. You could use a glue dot as well, or you could use like the stamping seal. I just want something to hold my ribbon. And this time I'm going to put my knot at the left hand side. But I'm just going to choose whereabouts on the tree I want that to be. Okay, and then I'm just going to lay that down. And turn it over, make it straight. You have got enough gold ribbon that if you wanted to make a bow instead of a knot, you could do that too. I'm just going to trim a little bit of that off. And then my bow piece or my knot piece, I'm going to add just with a glue dot on the top like this. Some people will use a piece like this and tie it like that so that it's underneath and already attached to the ribbon. But I find it just as easy to put a glue dot on. I'm going to get my glue dot ready, but I'm not going to put that on yet until I choose where I want my sentiment. Okay, so I might want my sentiment off to the left, and then I can put my little knot here, or I can put my sentiment more to the middle and have my knot there, which is actually what I'm going to do. So I'm just going to put that onto there. I'm going to put dimensionals onto the back of my sentiment, and I'm just going to pop 2 on. You could use the smaller dimensionals as well, they would work, and the dimensionals just help to keep that ribbon flat down as well. There we go, that's where I'd like that. And then I'm going to attach this to the front of my card, and then I'm going to put the embellishments on. So the piece of designer series paper that we had left is going to go inside. This time I'm going to put it at the right hand side. You may need to trim a tiny bit, and that's fine. I'm going to leave a little, tiny little gap, almost to give it a border on the inside. And then I know that this is a tidgy-widgy bit too long, so I'm just going to trim it off. And if you wanted, you could add another piece of basic white, and you could stamp on that if you wanted, or add some more decorations. This piece is going to go flat down. If it isn't going in the mail, you could have this popped up on dimensionals as well. I know that mine isn't going in the mail, so for this one, I'm going to put dimensionals on the back. If it's going in the mail, I tend to only have one height of dimensionals, because sometimes they will decide at my mail office that it's going to be too thick, especially if I'm sending them abroad. They'll think it's too thick, and so they'll charge me extra. Some days they don't bother, they don't look, but some days they will say, oh no, it's going to be double your postage. But I know that this one is not going in the mail, so I'm happy to have it on dimensionals. This one I did have flat. Okay, I'm going to chop this little knot. Oh, let's use the ribbon scissors instead. It will cut just a bit quicker. There we are. Those ones can go in the garbage. And then all you're left with are the little red self-adhesive gems. And I put mine just on some of the little red baubles, and some of them I just put onto the greenery. But whatever you want. How many did I give you? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. So if you didn't want to put them all on the tree, you could certainly put some to decorate the designer series paper as well. You could keep some for a different project. But these cards come together really quickly. I'm just going to pop 7 on for now, I think. There we go. And I might put some of these up here just to tie in the red. So that's our first card, and the soft sea foam, it matches the envelope colour. Okay, so let's put that one to one side. Our next one is going to be From Our House to Your House, which was the stocking card that I showed you earlier, and it's in the clear bag. And again, for this one, I've used one of the images from the designer series paper. I did put a little reminder in everybody's just to say that this clear envelope can be used to mail the card in. Okay. So you can see this has an embossed layer, then a designer series paper layer, then a couple of pieces of real red backing card, another little designer series piece, and then I've glued the sticker down flat and just put a little bow on, and then the few little pieces that were left over, I just kept them for the inside. So again, I leave that up here so that you can see it. The 2 strips, one with designer series paper, one in garden green, are for the inside, so I'm going to put those to one side for now. And then I have the designer series paper, 2 pieces of the real red card, my little sentiment, and my embossed piece, which is done with one of the new embossing folders. So it looks a bit like corrugated cardboard. And then you have a piece of twine to tie in a little bow. I've tied mine, but I haven't trimmed it until I've got it on my card. So this one is just a lot of gluing, really. It's simple to put together. So I'm putting my little stocking image onto my real red. I'm going to glue down the corrugated embossed piece. Sometimes it can be a bit difficult to get these to stick down when they're heavily embossed. So sometimes I will use like a tear and tape on them or my stamping seal. But because it has quite a lot of ridges, I know that the majority of this will stick down. Our card is going to open this way. So let's pop that on the top. And again, there'll be just a nice little border all the way around. And if you're worried about it sort of not sticking, just push it on the back. You can push it with a bone folder and you'll just make sure that some of those ridges catch with the glue. Okay, now next our little piece of designer series paper. If you prefer to have it this way, so it would go like this, you certainly can. Don't ever think that you have to make it exactly like I make mine. This little red strip is going to go across here. And that would look really nice on there. On this one, I put it more towards the middle. But I quite actually like it on here. But I'm going to pop it this way around, the same as the first card. Now, this piece of designer series paper for the inside is this pattern. So if you think that you're going to use more of the plaid pattern on the front, you can always just turn this over and give it the plaid image on the back there as well. Okay. I'm going to glue this down before I change my mind and use the plaid pattern. Okay, so I'm just layering that into the middle. This little real red piece is going to go across. You can make it go in the middle, a little bit lower down. I'm just doing it shy of the middle. And I'm using these little snowflakes just to make sure that it's level. Okay. Now, the little image that we put on the red card, I'm going to attach using dimensionals. Take those backings off. I'm going to attach this in the middle again. And because we've got that snowflake pattern, it just makes it easier to line up to make sure you've got it straight. I'm going to move that over slightly. There we go. It wasn't quite straight at the sides, but now it is. And then the little sentiment I'm going to use as a sticker. But if you want to put them on dimensionals again, you can. I love that these are self-adhesive. You can pop this at the bottom. I'm going to pop mine at the top again. You could even pop it at the side like this and have a dimensional on. It really is however you want to interpret your card. I've given you all the pieces, but you don't have to put them in the same place that I put them. I'm just going to pick up some different scissors. There we go. They were just catching on the side for me there. Okay, now I'm going to put this on the corner the same as I did on the original. I'm making my glue dot tiny so that it doesn't stay up, sort of sticky on my card. And then I'm just going to trim these tails. Last of all, I'm going to put the two pieces on the inside. They are not quite as wide as the card, so they do have a little border at the sides. So this time I'm going to leave a border at the bottom as well. I'm going to do my little snowflake one first. If you've turned yours over and are using the plaid, then you can use the plaid on the inside as well. And sometimes this is a nice thing to do with offcuts as well. You can, use lots of little pieces. You can even do the whole of the front in strips like this. And in some of our classes, we've done them as a herringbone pattern as well. But don't think that, oh, this piece is too small, I have to throw it away. You can always find a use for it. So here's our second card, all finished. Let's move this one. And let me just find the lid for my glue. Let's have a break from making cards because we're going to change paper. Let's make the little quick hanging tag. This was a little bonus one that I popped in. And if your pack came by mail, it won't be in this white bag. It will be in a little clear bag sandwiched between two of the cards. So don't look for this if I've mailed your kit. But everything is in there that you need just to make this little hanging tag. Okay, these are some gold hoops that Stampin' Up used to sell, and now they have some bigger ones, but when I tried to get them, they were out of stock. So I'm just using a retired little gold hoop. And all it is the hoop and designer series paper, little space to write on the back. I die cut a little gold snowflake and then one of the sentiments. Really easy to put together. You could even tie them and have them as Christmas hanging ornaments on your tree if you wanted. So it's a really simple little project, but it looks so pretty. There you have one little strip of the gold twine, and what we're going to do is use that to anchor the inside part of the tag on. We're going to fold it in half. Okay. And then the end that's folded over, we're going to pop it underneath the tag and put those two cut ends through. So you simply have that kind of a hanger for it. Well, then what we're going to do is actually have that little hanger piece at the bottom, and we're going to anchor this at the top. If you have really nimble fingers, you will be able to fold that over, tie it in a knot like this, but I find it easier for me if I pop a little glue dot on. I'm just going to scrumple it up tiny, because this will hold it for me. So I've put that onto the gold hoop, okay, and then I'm going to put one behind, one in front, and it means that wherever I tie my knot, I can keep it on that glue dot and it doesn't move around the hoop. So I've tied my knot. I'm going to put it onto the glue dot. It looks fiddly, but really it isn't. Now can you see how that's holding that there? So now I can tie another knot, and I'm not chasing it round that hoop anymore. Okay. And then, oops, I'm going to throw it away. Then all I'm going to do is just push that glue dot in. So it can't be seen and it's not sticky, and the little gold twine is stuck onto it. There we go. And next, you're going to need your two little snowflake pieces of paper. This is from one of the papers in the catalogue. I think it's a pine one. Okay. And then you've got just the one piece of basic white. And your die cut might still have some little pieces in here. Just make sure you poke them out if I've left them on there. I'm going to attach one of the white circles onto here, and this will become the back of our project. And on here I'm going to put my snowflake, and I'm going to add a dimensional. You will see the dimensional through the snowflake to start with, but we're going to put something over the top of it, so it doesn't matter if you can see your dimensional. And you see how, mine is easy to spot here, and you can still feel that it's sticky, but we're going to put this little sentiment over the top. And I'm going to take the adhesive off the back, And that means I'm going to have like this arm of the snowflake I'm going to have at the top. And then this will cover over your dimensional, and because it's adhesive, it will stick down on the snowflake. And then literally all you do is you glue the two pieces together. You can use like a tear and tape if you wanted, or a liquid glue. The stamping seal doesn't keep it held together very well, I found, but if you use the stamping seal plus, that one does. So I'm just going to lay my hoop on the top and make sure that I've got a nice even gap all the way around, and then I'm going to add this one over. Just press it down. I'm going to press where the designer series paper is. I'm going to press it. And then we are. Just a 5-minute little project. And you can use it as a decoration on a bag. You can use it as your label. You could use it on the tree, whatever you want. I don't tie these two ends until I've got it on my gift or whatever I'm putting it on, and then I'll tie them. So just a quick and easy little project. Okay, let's go back to cards. So the next one is going to be the one called 'Tis the Season, and that is this card. Again, this is a piece of the designer series paper that I cut down, and I kept the pieces that I'd cut off here because they were a patterned paper, so I could use those on something different. That's everything out of the envelope. Pop that one there so they can see what we're making. On the inside, this has a little bit more decoration as well. I've already tied my bow. I haven't trimmed it or anything yet though. So I've got my garden green base, my 'Tis the Season sentiment. I'm going to fold this in half and just burnish it. Ready. And I like to burnish both sides. Okay. And then you're going to need the piece with the leaves on and the berries. You have 2 pieces of the real red card. You need one for the inside, one for the front. You need the soft sea foam for the front, so I'm making my front pile here. You need the white for the inside, so that goes with this piece. And then this piece is the one that I've used for here. I cut it in half for this. So if you want to cut it in half, you can. But this time I'm actually going to leave it just as a strip like this. But if you preferred it cut in half, just simply trim it down on your trimmer. Okay, so I'm going to put the inside pieces, the red, the white and the long piece of designer series paper out of the way. And we're going to work on the front. So here's our designer series paper. We're going to have the leaves that look almost like a wreath or a garland. That's at the top, and the white space is going to be at the bottom. Now, I don't often buy these sets of 6x6 where there are sort of lots of patterns and things on them. But this time I was really drawn to how easy it was going to be to make my Christmas cards and be able to make a lot of them, because there were so many pieces of each pattern. Sometimes you'll get 2 or you'll get 4 of the same pattern, but this time, let me just check how many. Page 15. Let me just see. So it was 8 of each of the 4 double-sided designs, and having 8 meant that I could make lots of cards. Let's attach this to the real red. And for the colours, I simply went with the colours that were in the designer series paper. I just chose colours that it said on the back of the pack because I knew then they would all coordinate. Okay, so this is going to go on the front. This one I've put on with dimensionals, but you could put it on flat if you prefer. This one I know I'm going to mail, so for me, I'm going to put it on flat. Just going to straighten out that little corner. There we go. If I wasn't going to mail it, then I would probably put it on dimensionals. Okay, there'll be a nice even border. My sentiment is it is the season one, and this is where I'm going to put my dimensionals. So you can take off the backing if you want. I'm just going to glue it straight on, or adhere them straight on. And I'm only putting 2 on. If you use the smaller little dimensionals, these ones, you see how these would fit on these little edges as well. I might as well put 2 more on now. There we go. So they would fit on those little pieces. You get quite a lot of the smaller dimensionals on a sheet, so sometimes it's more economical to use those. I'm going to pop this at the bottom. And then I've got my little piece of garden green ribbon already tied. And I'm going to use my ribbon scissors and just cut the edges. And just trim them off. And then I'm simply going to pop this on with a glue dot. I know that it will stay adhered with that. In the past, I used to use a liquid glue, but I found that on some of the ribbons, it made the dye run, or it would stay, you could see like a little blotch, or it would sort of discolor the ribbon, and I didn't like that effect. So now I always just use a glue dot. Okay, and then you also have 5 of the little red festive pearls. These are retired now, but they were my absolute favourite. And those of you who do my classes will know we have used these on so many projects. And then I'm just going to add, I'm going to put 3 over this little set of berries over here. Just add them wherever you want. If you want them to be on the white part, you can certainly do that as well. And then I might just put 2 over here this time. There we go. That little piece in the garbage. And then for the inside, if you want to stamp a sentiment before you glue it in, you certainly can. But I am just going to add this. Oh, let me see. That might be a little bit longer. My paper might be a little bit longer for that. That's okay. It's okay. I'm going to pop that in the middle, and then this piece I'm going to put all the way across. Actually, it's not a little bit longer, it's just perfect. So pop it here, and then I've not quite decided if I'm going to have it at the top or the bottom. So I'll see once it's glued down. Let me have a look. So it'll go like that, or it'll go like this. Actually, I don't mind it either way. I'm going to put it at the bottom. So a little bit of glue. If you've managed to watch this all in one sitting so far, well done. So that's our 3rd card. Let me pop that one to one side. And then our last card is the one that's called Happy Christmas Baubles. So it says Happy Christmas on it. It's this one. The sentiment doesn't say Happy Christmas Baubles. I added that. Okay. And this is the card. And it's a front flap fold. You have a little tiny bit of cutting to do because you need to cut out this little bauble. Okay, so let's get all these pieces. It looks like a lot of pieces, but it really isn't. No, you have a little piece with your twine on, and that's the twine for all 3 baubles on the front and the one for the inside. Okay, so it's just held down with a little bit of washi tape, but that is enough for all of them. You don't need this little green piece or this piece of washi tape. So what I do is I stick those 2 together, and then I know I'm not looking for where this piece goes on my card. Oops, stuck on my finger then. Okay. Let's see, you've got 3 of the gold festive pearls, the twine, your little sentiment, the designer series paper already cut to size, 2 long strips of the designer series paper. Then you have this little piece, and this is the one that you need to cut out for the inside. So simply just quickly fussy cut it. If you don't want to use this on the inside, that's fine. No, if you want it, use it. If not, that's perfectly fine. Okay, now you can see that I left a little red border all the way around. So I didn't cut right on the very edge. And when you get near to the top, there's the little hanging piece. So make sure you cut that out as well. Now I'm not taking a long time with fussy cutting. There we go. And then you don't need these pieces. But if you wanted to cut out this little one to put on the front of your envelope or something, you could certainly do that. Oh, it's a bit pointy there. Let me just even that up a bit. There we go. So now we've got this one. Oh, it'd be better if it was not so pointy there as well. There we are. Okay. And then we've got 1 long white strip. You've got the fold-in part of your green card. And then this is the base. The base doesn't open out. It's a flat base. And I'm going to start with the base piece. So you take your 2 long pieces of designer series paper and you simply glue 1 at each side like that. If you wanted to have it this way round, you could. Let me show you how that would sort of look. You would have this pattern instead with the crumb cake, which would match the little bows. Sorry, I'm trying to get that in there and talk at the same time. So if you wanted to turn it over, it would look like this, which is still really pretty. Okay. I'm going to keep mine as the green side just to make it easy. And when you put the front flap on, it will cover over this design series paper a little bit. So you won't see such a wide strip of it. So 1 piece at the left hand side, 1 piece at the right hand side. Okay, and then this is our front flap piece. We're going to put glue on the back, and the folded edge is going to go at the top, and it will glue down simply like this. So on the back, I'm going to put my glue. Make sure that the folded edge is at the top and that you are in the middle of the card. You should be able to tell from the borders at the side whether you're in the middle, and it will fit flush with the bottom. I'm just going to go over that so I get my glue to spread on the inside. There we are. And then next we're going to put this white piece on the inside, and later we'll put the little bauble on there that we just fussy cut. This white piece will have a border all the way around. Okay, and then we'll come to do the front. The front is going to fit on the front of our flap. There won't be a border at all. It will fit flush with the card itself. So there's only a border on the inside. So I like to start with something like the bottom left corner, hold it with my thumb, push, and then I make sure that it's all the way level at the top. There we go. And then we're going to make 4 little bows. Now, to make it easy, what I did was I've got my twine in half, and I cut that, and then I folded it in half again. So I had the same amount of ribbon or twine for each bow. Now just for speed, I'm going to make mine on my little bow maker, but it's simple just to tie one as well. So if you don't have a bow maker, that's fine. You can just tie simple little bows. But for me, when I'm on camera, I suddenly find that I've forgotten how to tie a bow or a knot or anything, and they don't seem to come together very quickly. Here we are. That's 2. We'll trim them later on. 3. And 4. Now, if you watch my YouTube channel, you will see that there are some Facebook replays for Crafts by the Bow, and I have used the basis of the card to show people how to make some of these cards. Oops, let's change scissors. But I've made them slightly differently. I haven't made them just the same as our card class. Some I've used different papers, some I've used like different colours and different images. But the ones in this class, I've only made for this class. There we go. Okay, so next we need to put our bows on. Whoops, oh, that's stuck on my finger. Our bows on, and these little gold pearls go right in the middle of the hanger, and I put them just where this little curve is here, and I will add the bow above them. This just gives it a little bit of colour, but if you preferred to put these like on the baubles or something, that's that's fine as well. I'm going to add these with a glue dot. If you have any of the paper pumpkin glue dots, they are a little bit smaller than the ones on the roll, and I find that sometimes they're easier for twine bows. Because they're not as big, you don't have to scrunch them up as much. And these I'm putting where the string on the picture just attaches to the bauble hanger. Oh, let's do this one next. The last one I cut a tiny bit shorter, just so I knew that that was going on the inside. Okay. And then our Happy Christmas, I'm going to put it on with dimensionals. This is not going in the mail, so you can put it down flat, but I'm going to put dimensionals on the back. When I first got these, I thought I should always take the adhesive off and I would use my embossing buddy to make it not sticky, because I thought the dimensionals might make the backing peel off, but it hasn't peeled off on any of them. So now I just stick it straight on there. I'm going to pop a little one at the end as well. Just take those backings off. Oops. And this I'm putting at the bottom. And I'm going to open my card, excuse me, and I'm going to add this. you can glue it down flat. On mine, I popped it on another dimensional, and so I'm going to do the same because this is not going in the mail. I put it at this side this time, and then just a little bow on the top, and then we are done. Scrunch that little dot up a bit more, there we go. And there we are, that's the last of our cards. So let's pop them out. Maybe easier, no. It just doesn't fit great. There we are, that fits better. And then let's find where our little tag is as well. So I hope you enjoyed making those, and I hope you'll use the templates as well. The template for this is one that I use a lot. I love these front flap cards, and they don't use too much paper, they don't use too much card, and it's just a little bit different. So these are two of my layouts that I use on many cards. So thank you for joining me. If you have any questions about any of the cards, just send me a quick email and I can help you. But thanks again for taking the class and for supporting me, and I hope you enjoy making all of them. Bye everyone.